Hello there, Charlie Haldeman here. First News Forum. We do this every Sunday morning. One of our regular recurring guests, a guy I really like to talk politics with, State Senator Jay Paul Gumm of Durant. Senator, welcome to the program once again.
Very glad to be back.
First one after the November 4th general election, and I know a lot of people were sick and tired of seeing all the political ads, ready for this race to be run, both presidential, local politics. We had 54 races across the region, including several in Oklahoma.
Right.
And you were more or less a casual observer in all this, I imagine.
I was midterm this time, so I got to sit back and watch. I did help Sam Buck over in Marshall County a little bit. We're going to share that county now that he's elected, but for the most part, I got the opportunity to stay at home and play with my little 3-year-old boy.
That's a good thing to do on election night.
Absolutely.
Tell me, I mean, once every 4 years, at least the big election year for 2008, John McCain carried Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. I think we were the top state for McCain.
For McCain. Barack Obama wins the White House by more than a nose, of course.
Right.
But local politics, as statewide, was a little bit different.
Well, in every election cycle, Democrats on the ballot, when it's a presidential election cycle, you know it's going to be a tough year in the legislature. And it's been a tough year for Democrats in the Oklahoma legislature for the last several cycles, as the Republicans just continued to make gain after gain after gain. In essence, for about the last 12 years, every time we've opened the polls in the Senate, we've lost 2 seats, the Democrats have. So finally the Republicans won 2 seats this last week, and now they have the majority, and it's going to be interesting to see all the changes that happen. This will be 2 real changes for the Senate. From 2004 to 2006, when we went from a Democrat majority to the tie, which nobody knew what to do with that. We were really feeling
You had to write the rules as they went along, didn't you?
We did, and new rules that were just for the tie. And then now we're going back to kind of the old way it was, a majority. It's just the other side's got the majority, and it's going to be interesting to see, first of all, how they govern now that they have the responsibility for being in the majority in the Senate, and also how our leadership and our members respond on the Democratic side to being in the minority. It's a different role for us, and I think it's a role we're going to have to adapt to very quickly. The bottom line that everyone needs to remember, though, is whether you're in the majority or minority, every member of the Senate represents about the same number of people and has the same voice on that floor and has the same ability to have an impact on what goes on. Sometimes the hill may be a little steeper, but we're all still senators. And that's something Senator Coffey, who's going to be the new president pro tem.
Glenn Coffey.
Glenn Coffey, he's a Republican from Northwest Oklahoma City, a quality individual. He and I have known each other since we were in student politics days, farther back than either one of us want to admit.
Sure.
He's going to be a good and effective leader, and one of his favorite quotes has always been that, you know, when we take over, the Senate will still be the Senate. And that is in marked contrast to what happened when the Republicans took control of the House of Representatives in 2004, where they came in, fired a bunch of staff, changed things just because that's the way the Democrats did it. We don't want to do that.
Right.
There's a little more of a history in the Senate. There's a little more of that sense of tradition that both sides have always honored. And I think you're going to see a smoother transition than what we saw in the House 4 years ago. And I think you're going to see a more fair transition as well.
Back when you had the tie, you had as many Republican senators as you did Democratic senators. Wrote new rules to govern the parliamentary procedure, committees, and the governance. What was there more partisanship because there had to be than, say, when you had one party over another in majority?
There were still the games being played, but it was a situation for 2 years. Both sides didn't want to make any big mistakes. So there wasn't an awful lot of long passes thrown, thinking you could complete one down the field. It was always kind of 3 yards in a cloud of dust. You know, they had their issues that they wanted to advocate. We on the Democratic side had our issues we wanted to advocate. There were those crossover issues where you would have Republicans team up with some Democrats and Democrats team up with some Republicans. Matter of fact, I think there were several times when we had a tie vote where it wasn't right down the party line. You had Republicans teaming with Democrats and some Democrats teaming with Republicans, and that's how you got to 24-24. And that was a good thing to see, because the truth of the matter is there isn't a single one of us in the Senate who was elected by a party. We are elected by people back in our districts, and it's important that we represent those people. party identification is to some degree important,
right.
but it's not the most important thing. The way our districts feel, standing up for what we believe in and what the instructions our districts give us, I think is more important by and large than the party identification.
Seems like people vote not necessarily the party block, actually the Senate, not like you were saying, they don't necessarily vote in blocks by their party. You see some state houses do this. Texas is a pretty good example,
right.
Pretty volatile, at least in the House, with the leadership. You seem to speak pretty highly of the Senate leadership that's coming in. And what exactly do you expect in the next couple of weeks? There's committee assignments, chairman seats for particular committees. What else are you looking at?
Moving offices.
I saw your Facebook with
right.
moving to the 5th floor.
Yeah, well, I'll be moving to the 5th floor. It'll be a bigger office, whichever one I get, but I'm going to be moving up to the 5th floor where I started, because that's traditionally where the minority party goes. But it's going to be interesting to see how they do pick up that mantle of governing. I would be very surprised to see any Democratic member be a chair of a committee. It's possible. The Republicans in the House had a couple of Democratic committee chairs that first time up, and even in the second term that they had it. And one of them was Representative John Kerry there in Durant, who was chairman of Veterans the first year that the Republicans had control of the House. So that's possible, but the transition from the tie into this majority, it gave a lot of Republicans who probably never had the opportunity to chair a committee, a chance to see what it was like to chair a committee. And you had Democratic members who, almost all of us had been chairs at one time or another, kind of take them through that process of what it means to actually chair a committee and go through the process of setting that agenda, working with the staff. And so I don't think you're going to see near the turmoil that happened in the House of Representatives when they took over in 2004. I think you're going to see a pretty smooth transition. And again, that committee chairmanships positions are going to be very important in how they set their agenda and what bills they hear, because the committee chair has almost unlimited power when it comes to what bills are we going to hear in this committee. There's really not a way
they can ignore bills that
absolutely
would be coming in, and that's happened.
It happens all the time.
Right.
And there are a lot of bills that deserve to be ignored, in fairness. So it's going to be interesting to see the fairness, how they treat Democratic sponsored bills. I know when I was chair of finance during the 05 and 06 sessions,
right.
I made darn sure that I gave the Republicans a fair shake, because again, it goes back to my philosophy. We're not elected by party, we're elected by districts, and they had a right to have their ideas heard.
Sure. We're going to talk more about politics, Oklahoma, the national scene, as well as what's priority in the state of Oklahoma today with Jay Paul Gumm, your state senator from Durant, on the other side of the break. Stay with us.